First of all, I think that austerity has failed because the objectives that were behind putting it into place in the first time have not been met. Austerity's objective was to put the public deficits under control, and if you look at what has been happening in the countries where austerity is being implemented, is that this is very difficult to do because you depend on external factors and not just on the internal policies that you develop. And at the same time, the second objective was to boost competitiveness. And we have seen that with the slug economic growth that exists in Europe, and I would say across the world, it's very difficult to boost competitiveness. So the two reasons why austerity was put into place to start with have not given the results that were expected.
For both Poland and Germany, the job miracle was only in quantity terms. So we did have growth in employment rates as compared to the previous period, over the period of 10 years. But at the same time, we saw during our session that both in Poland and in Germany, the quality of jobs decreased.
First of all, there's increasing pressure on wages, so we have a decrease in real wages in the majority of countries. And the second key element, I think, is quite fundamental decentralization of collective bargaining that's happening place, particularly in the so-called program countries, which are these countries that are subject to financial assistance from the Troika and the IMF and the EU, but also these processes also take place in other countries. The alternative to austerity is in both areas. I mean, higher wages and a more, let's put it differently, a demand-driven and wage-driven growth model would certainly help to counter the tendencies we observe at the moment. But I think what definitely would also help, and what's been discussed more and more at European level, would also be a European concept for a minimum wage, to establish basically a minimum floor by which workers can actually make a living of the wage they are earning, and I think that would definitely help.
Notre idée, c'est qu'il faut un plan de relance européen pour pouvoir sortir de cette impasse. Alors après, on peut discuté sur la manière de le faire, comment chaque pays peut contribuer, mais cette idée-là, je pense, nous est absolument commune. Et je crois que c'est une politique, une orientation dont nous pouvons être fiers. Parce qu'il n'y a plus beaucoup d'organisations au niveau européen qui, en plus de s'opposer à des politiques, ici la politique de l'austérité, propose un plan solidaire. Le plus difficile, c'est pas le papier que nous avons, le plus difficile, c'est de mobiliser par tous les moyens possibles autour de cette idée qu'il y a une alternative sur ce plan de relance, ce plan de croissance pour des emplois décents, des emplois de qualité.